What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Coach Steve Show. If this is your first time joining, watching this video, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Something out there for everybody. There's a line I break down, Chicago Bears. There's plenty of conversations with college coaches. Anything. There's something out there for everybody. So if you click on playlist after you subscribe, check it all out. Something there for everybody, of course. Following right on Apple and iTunes as well. And follow at Coach_Steve72 on X and the Coach Steve Show on X as well. And Instagram, the Coach Steve72 on Instagram as well. Check all that stuff out. Today, we are going to talk about Caitlyn Clark, the phenom college women's basketball player who has set the college basketball world on fire with the amazing shooting that she has put on for the last several years. The WNBA draft is tomorrow. She has entered her name into the WNBA draft. And we're going to discuss, should she change course today or tomorrow and head back to college? Is the WNBA the right move for her? What would desire her to go there? And talk a little bit about the hate that she gets too. I don't understand some of the hate either. So today will be a little different, talking about Caitlyn Clark. So, like I said, she has put her name into the WNBA draft after losing the national championship game to South Carolina. Caitlyn Clark gets a lot of hate. And I kind of, why does she get a lot of hate? People out there, you should tell me why. Because is it because she's the poster child of women's basketball? Do people feel like there's better players out there? Is it because she's getting all this looks and talking about she's the best ever when there's probably players who were just as good as her, if not better? Is there people in the WNBA that's better than her right now? And so is she even going to survive in the WNBA? All of that stuff. So the hate that she gets, I don't know. They feel like people make it a race thing, and I don't like that, because why can't it just be about her as a person and the type of player that she is? I mean, shoot, she was shooting from volleyball line, half court, and it goes in. Maybe she gets criticized a little bit for defense, like, oh, you're just an offensive player, you're going to have to play defense in the WNBA. So is that some of the hate she gets? Is it when they lose games? Is she getting the LeBron treatment when, like, in the national championship game, she had 30 points, but people are talking about the players around her, they didn't perform well? I mean, there's an argument to be made there. But while I'm on that subject, I mean, if you look at the championship game, she has 30 points, but she only shot 35%. So, I mean, taking a lot of shots to try to keep yourself in the game. Maybe, you could look at other people, but I mean, I guess that's right around average. I mean, UConn, she shot 38%. LSU shot 44, Colorado 59, West Virginia 36. So I guess maybe it's on par to be normal, but they win those games. So is it the LeBron treatment of everybody around you has to do better? Maybe, but I think she just gets a lot of hate because of, not going to stay on the topic too long, of race, because this is not a show that I talk about all that stuff, but I think that's where some of it comes from. And I never know why just make it a person thing. Like, is she unlikable on the court? And does she complain too much? Does she actually taunt people? Yeah, we've seen it. The taunting part and all that's, I guess, part of the game. But I mean, people have gone after her. And I think maybe because she gets more looks than everybody else, she made $3 million in name, image, and likeness. You've seen her on State Farm commercials. Last night, I believe she was on SNL. So she's just taken the world by storm. Personality, the story of growing up in Iowa, in a small town, playing for Iowa, accomplishing all that she's accomplished. The only thing holding her back is the national championship. So I don't know where the hate comes from a lot of the times. Maybe the hate comes from that people have talked her up already and said, She's going to dominate the WNBA and go in there, set the world on fire. She's going to be like Stephen Curry going in there, shooting from where she shoots from. Now, that part is up for discussion. Can she take this game from college and translate it into the WNBA, where she's playing against other professionals on these other teams? They're going to have longer, taller girls. They're actually maybe going to play harder defense on her, because the times where she, if you want to say, struggled, they just put somebody in her face the entire time. Now, I know she still had 30 points in the championship game, but she's still like 8 for 20 or something like that. So, I mean, you know, she didn't shoot very well, so there's a way to slow her down a little bit. And some of the shots she's hitting, like I said, it's near half court, so guarding her there, it doesn't make any sense. But everything that she's accomplished, I mean, if you go back to 2020, 2021, she shot 47%, then 45%, 47%, and then 45% this year. She averages 4 turnovers a game, which to me is a lot. So that part has to be looked at a little bit. Free throw percentage for her career was 85%, which is pretty good. Her best was in 2021-22 at 88%. That was her best. She averages 34 minutes across the board for her whole time at Iowa. She scored 3,951 points for her career, and it just continually went up. 799 her first year, 863 the next year, 1,055 the next year, 1,234 the very next. Turnovers, she's turned the ball over a lot, 639 turnovers. So, I mean, that part, again, talking about the turnovers, that would, not saying she shouldn't deserve to go to the NBA. She's probably going to be picked very first to go to Indiana. To me, that is a concern that you have to eliminate once you get to the WNBA. And when you go professional, that type of stuff is going to put your team in bad spots. So we're going to have to figure out the turnover percentage. She shot 37% from 3. This year, she took 532 threes, which was a huge upward tick from last year, where she took 360. Her regular field goal percentage was 46. She took 886 field goals. This is an incredible number, 1,293 for 2,798. That's outrageous looking at those numbers. But will her game translate into the WNBA? Should she even be going to the WNBA? No, she's already done it. She's there. People are saying there's really nothing more to accomplish in college. You have to take the next step and try to find a new challenge. I hear that. But when you think about your career, you made $3 million in name, image, and likeness. You're probably going to go to the WNBA and make, what is average? Average is like 200 some thousand. Like, that's just the average. Now, to me, that's a lot of money. But when you compare it to what name, image, and likeness is, you're on top of the college basketball world. To me, maybe you stay one more year. They try to affect the transfer portal to get people to come there to play with you. And maybe you can finally pull off that national championship that's held you back. That's the only thing you haven't accomplished. And that would add to your resume. You'd make even more money to put yourself in a better financial situation. And then you go to the WNBA. The women's basketball continues, give it another year, continue to grow the game. Maybe more eyeballs will go to the WNBA. That's just me, and that's thinking from a money-based perspective of you're about to take a huge, huge, huge pay cut going into the WNBA. Now, I already know, well, the WNBA should pay her whatever she wants. The WNBA just does not get eyeballs. I believe it's gone up, over time, but people just don't watch the WNBA. Okay. The NBA actually subsidizes it and has money towards it to help keep it going, because the NBA makes way more money. And I'm not trying to make this, watch the guys over the girls. Way more people watch college women's basketball this year than ever before. They had more views on the national championship game, more than the guys' national championship game. Probably because you had an undefeated South Carolina team and you had Caitlyn Clark there to see if this player can overcome what's been the one thing she's been trying to get done, which was a national championship. I also think in the back of her mind, maybe she wants to go into the WNBA to try to make an impact in the WNBA that she had in college basketball, where she goes. Hopefully, maybe it brings more eyeball views, possibly. Maybe it tries to transcend the game and try to get more views on TV, maybe try to get more butts in the seats of the arenas when she travels, very possible. But she also has to be very confident in herself that she can make this game the same as she did in college. So she's putting a lot into this, saying, well, I changed the game of college women's basketball. I need to go there. So she has to be very confident because if she goes and does not perform this way, she's not going to score 30 points a game. I just don't see her going into the professionals where you're because when you play in college, now it's a little different with the transfer portal. But when you go and you play college teams, not all of those players are destined to move on to the next level. They're good basketball players. That's why they're in college. You go to the professionals, all those people at some point were the person, the player on their college basketball team, their college football team. So now you're going to go against the best of the best. And especially when you get into the pros, maybe there's people overseas, they're taller, they're faster. The defense is going to be a lot different versus her. They have a crap ton of film on her from college. So it just will be a lot different. I personally hope that if she sticks with this decision and nothing changes overnight, that it would grow the game because we all want women's sports to do well. We all want them to succeed. We would love to see more eyeballs to it. There just has to be a way. My fear would be even if she goes, I feel like that very first game in Indiana, I don't know if you're going to have a sellout crowd. People are going to tune into it just to see. But if she's not lighting the world on fire like she did in college, it's just going to slowly taper off again. That's my fear of what's going to happen. Not saying that is going to happen. Not saying she's a bad basketball player by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a much different game when you move on to that next level. The defensive scheme is going to be different. Maybe it won't happen the first year. Maybe as she gets more comfortable into it, that it would happen there. So there's a big part of me that says, go back to college one more year. You make $3 million. It's only going to go up. You're going to get way more deals. You're going to get way more image and likeness. You have the State Farm endorsement. You're going to have other endorsements that are going to pop up. And with some of these other players leaving from the LSUs and the South Carolinas, and maybe you can get maybe some that have entered the transfer portal. Maybe if you come back and say, come play with me at Iowa, we'll try to get this national championship. And just see the increased numbers. I mean, last year scoring 1,055, this year 1,234. You would think it would only go up from there. Just add more to it, give you another year of experience because now for sure these college teams are going to come up with all those exotic defenses and everything that they're going to try to use to stop her. It would just help you into the WNBA. So really, this is more of a debate. So if anybody is watching live or later on, leave comments and I'll try to respond to them because this is open forum of like, what do you think she should do? Should she stick to college for a year? Is that WNBA thing, or is playing overseas the next move? But I do think in her mind, she wants to help. She loved seeing all the young women in the United States rocking her jersey, people posting pictures of their daughters watching her on TV. I think she really wants to be this voice of women's athletics and make it for that and give these young women hope that if they work hard and do the things they're supposed to do, they can be like Caitlyn Clark. Because I think we all do. Like at the high school I coach at, I want every single sport to succeed no matter what it is. If I don't coach it, I want it to succeed. I always tell people, my athletes, that you play football, but then you try and wrestle. I want the wrestling team to be the very best it can be. I coach softball. If those girls do volleyball, I say I want volleyball to be the best it can be. Oh, you also, or you play soccer. I want the soccer team to be the best they could possibly be. And that's kind of her mindset. But it's also insane that Ice Cube offered her what, $5 million to come play in the Big Three. That part is a stretch. don't I don't know if she would be the same electrical person in the Big Three, because you're going to have these male athletes that are just so big. Some could be so fast. I'm not saying she couldn't go out there and hit some buckets, but I just don't know about that. I loved how Dave Portnoy offered $10 million to come do his basketball thing. So I think today into tomorrow, she was really going to have to take a step back and think about this of, is it worth taking this major pay cut from college basketball or going and do these other ventures where I can make money, and going into the WNBA where I'm going to make $200,000? I don't care what anybody says. There is no way that when they draft that she's going to make even $1 million, right? Now her endorsements hopefully will follow her. So if she, let's go on the high end and say they give her $300,000, right? You would hope that that State Farm thing transfers over. You would hope that she can still live off of the electricness of what she did in college basketball and continue that and get these endorsements, help make up for some of that money, maybe a shoe deal, other commercials, restaurant promotions, all that good stuff. Maybe she'll become the big face of the WNBA, and that's what the commercials are going to be. Maybe the sports networks are going to spend more money to do that, in hopes that it brings more eyeballs and more seats, more merchandise sales to that. But hopefully this isn't just something that's a flash in the pan where she does get drafted, goes, and this tapers off in a month or two. You know what I mean? And then we'll look back on that and say, well, if you would have stayed in college, you could have lived off this. And maybe it's not all about money for her, right? Like, grew up in a small town, maybe not to get too deep. Maybe there's no financial situation. I have no idea. Maybe it's not all about money. Maybe for her, it's okay. Maybe she was smart with this $3 million in the year before, making this extra money, knowing she'll continue to make money and be able to live off of that. Maybe she was really financially smart and says, okay, I can afford to go to the WNBA and go out there and grow the game. Maybe this will be a good way for the WNBA, and then she goes back and like gives back to college basketball, all that stuff. We have no clue what really is going into this planning and this mindset. But I know for me, if I'm like, wow, I can make $3 to $4 million and still play basketball, college basketball, where there was more viewership there was probably more viewership for women's college basketball than there was for the WNBA. And I could, or do I go there and make $200,000? I'd be like, I'm going to go back and play college ball, live like a college athlete, have that money, instead of going to the WNBA where I got to play all these games and travel, and I'm only making $250,000, $300,000. And I love how I always say only. To me, that's a lot of money. I would love to make $300,000 a year, because I could live off of the $300,000 a year personally, but that's just me. So that's the big question. So hopefully people will leave comments in this and discuss, like, what do you think? Should she go back, use her COVID year up, and make the money and try to make women's college basketball even more, or take this risk and try to grow the WNBA, which there's no harm or shame into trying that. Just know what you're going to get into, because sometimes that usually happens. Sometimes these college athletes dominate and do this. They go to the NBA, and I'm just thinking from the men's side to the NBA, and it's not the same, because now you're going up against the best of the best, who they were the best team on their college team, and now you're going up against a team full of them, right? Or overseas players come over. You got people that went to is it the D League or the G League? I remember hearing both, and then they get brought up like they've been playing. They're older and they're taller and they're lengthier. I'm not sure. It's a whole different environment. I hope if she decides to stick with this and get drafted tomorrow, that she'll go to the WNBA, be able to shoot like she was. Something can happen with endorsements and all that stuff. I think that's her goal, is to do that. And maybe it'll take her whole WNBA career, Maybe she only goes for a little bit and something else pops up. She wants to grow this game. Who knows? Maybe she's going to invest some of the money she made from name, image, and likeness into that. I have no idea. I just know the WNBA ratings are very low. And I don't know if one person exactly is going to get that to shoot up immediately. This is going to take a lot of time. So if she's willing to do that, God bless her. Let her do it. So tell me what you guys think. Should she go back to college? Should she go to the WNBA? What's the goal for going to the WNBA? If you're making money for one more year at Iowa, maybe she thinks if she stays and something tapers off and she doesn't play as well, should she not pass up this number one pick to be the number one pick? Who knows? Maybe that's going through her mind as well. But you guys just let me know what you think. Quick little episode here. Just some thoughts here about Caitlyn Clark. Don't know why she gets all the hate. Shouldn't get the hate. I don't really see anything wrong with what she does. Some of it's hypocritical if you're going after somebody taunting, and she kind of does it. That part I get. But that goes back to more of the reporters and the journalists who are not very good at their job, and they're just doing it for other reasons. So like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow, rate on Apple and iTunes. Leave a comment down below to have a discussion. Try to respond. Follow at Coach_Steve72 on X, the Coach Steve Show on X, Coach Steve72 on Instagram as well. Oh, yeah, there's a TikTok, Coach Steve72 on TikTok as well. So thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. See you guys next time.